Kat Brooks is here. She's here to tell us about how she got fired over her fictional blog that she was doing in her own time. She was a reporter at the local newspaper in Chewelah, Washington. And on the side, she started writing about Mayor McKnuttsak. Mayor McKnuttsak. I have to say, it's a creative name, rolls right off the tongue there. And Mayor McKnuttsak may or may not have been somewhat based in reality. She's going to tell us a little bit about that, yes or no. But the accusation was that it was, and some political leaders, including maybe a particular mayor in the area, was offended by this cartoon and the adventures of Mayor McKnutsak's chapter life here. See chapter 5, chapter 4, chapter 3. So all these chapters did not like these chapters in the cartoon's life. And so that particular mayor, it sounds like, and some others wrote a chapter in their lives that included getting you fired, maybe. I don't know. Give us the background. What happened, Kat?
It's sort of a convoluted story, but I'll try to do the TLDR here. And that is, there was just a lot of stuff going around, like friction between some members of the Chamber of Commerce and the council, the city council for the city, and the mayor, and everybody seemed like they had their own agendas. And it was very, very frustrating as a reporter to watch this. And in the meantime, I got a concussion that was, impacting like me with headaches and my vision. And my doctor told me that stress was really, really bad for me at that point. So I just took all the rumors that I'd been hearing and kind of rolled them into this satirical therapeutic writing exercise. And I didn't make it private because I didn't think anyone other than the people I shared it with would see it. I didn't even check, I didn't check anything, no statistics, nothing, because I just figured, I shared it with like 10 people, my friends in Boston and California, people who, everybody is going through a rough time right now. So anything that would make someone laugh, I figured, I'll share it. And somehow it got out, and the people who saw it some people got offended. And I got a call telling me that the newspaper that I was working for could not be associated with the blog. They didn't want to get blamed. So I was fired. And that was after 7 years and never missing a day of work.
All right. Oh, my mic is echoing again. All right, I'm going to throw a quick question at you. But before I do that, don't forget, everybody, get your greenpasture.org, greenpasture.org, all right, where you can get 10% off with promo code Allison, greenpasture.org. We take the fermented cod liver oil, concentrated butter oil blend. These two products are combined. That would be the cod liver oil and the concentrated butter oil. They're combined so that the vitamins synergistically work together to help you absorb what you need. And I cannot tell you how much this has helped me with cavities. I used to get cavities all the time. Every 6 months, I go to the dentist, like you're supposed to, they say anyway. And then I would, after taking this, I'd go like 3 years without going to the dentist, and I'd never have a cavity. So go check it out, greenpasture.org, promo code Allison. They've got a lot of amazing products here, but this is what we take every night. The kids take it, and it is formulated the way biological dentist Weston Price said would help his patients. Turn of the century, they're all starting to get cavities. And he started studying indigenous cultures and found that people who live very far from dentists, didn't have dental care, still didn't get cavities. And this is the vitamins and the minerals in this product are one of the formulations he came up with. Greenpasture.org, promo code Allison. All right, I'm going to try to figure out my mic. But Kat, let's talk about the Independent real fast. That's where you worked. Mm-hmm. Did they tell you that they believed the blog Mayor McKnuttsak was reality, or did they affirm, okay, we know this is a joke, but you can't joke in your time off? Or, you tell us, like, what did they tell you was the reason? They said it can't be associated with it, but why? Because you were criticizing the mayor in your free time, they alleged, and you're like, it was a joke? Or, take us back to that conversation.
It was a very short conversation. It was basically telling me that, people didn't know what was real and what wasn't real in the blog. And I mean, it's satire. So, someone's wife turning into a warthog at midnight, it's kind of obvious it's not real. But he said people were having a hard time delineating what was real and what wasn't. And, it's a small community, population 2,500. He didn't want to lose advertising because people thought the newspaper was affiliated with and supported the blog. But I mean, it was clearly, satire, clearly.
Okay.
But, people were offended.
Did they say who was offended? I mean, when they were like, okay, or are you just assuming somebody was offended? They tell you specifically who complained and got their attention?
Well, that night there was a city council meeting, and during the public comment period of the city council meeting, my former boss got up and talked and said how vile and horrible the blog was, and assured everyone that the paper had nothing to do with it. It was an employee, and he was very sorry for that. He did not actually mention me by name, but it was very clear who he was talking about. So he, it's all on the public record. I got the recording and I had it transcribed. And, it's disappointing that I would work for someone for 7 years and get thrown under the bus like that. But, it is what it is. And then 2 other people got up and spoke. One was Larry Fetter, who had been our Parks and Recreation consultant for the city. And he went into detail about the blog and went into detail about where I worked, the different places I consulted and taught for, basically listed off all my employers. So that was bizarre. And then spoke like he knew me and said that my motivation was to be divisive in the city and to cause divisiveness, which couldn't be further from the truth. I never even expected anyone to read it other than my close circle. So it was therapy, not divisiveness. So that was interesting. But yeah, and then I think one other person, Juanita Pickens, who is the business owner in town, she got up and she talked about how vile it was and how I was trying to be, just divisive and yada yada. So.
Well, I guess at the end of the day, to me, it doesn't necessarily matter what your intention was. It's whether you have the right to publish this in your free time or not. I mean, I don't care if you thought that writing it was going to communicate to aliens in some other universe. If you wanted to write that and you're allowed to do it. Now, that's where my question lies. Okay, I'm showing the picture of the mayor here. So this all stems from some drama between, if I understand correctly, you're covering between like the mayor and the city council. And like you said, it's a very small town. And in small towns, there are certain voices that are, can be very powerful. And so I'm curious, like, when you decided to write this, did you think, okay, hey, there are some people in this town that like it might not like this. They're very powerful. I could lose my job, but I'm going to do it anyway because I have a right to do this. It's my therapy. Or were you just not thinking about that at all?
I wasn't thinking about it at all. I honestly just never thought anyone other than my immediate circle would see it. I was just, I was actually having fun. It was really, really good therapy. Like some nights I'd sit down and I'd write like 7 chapters and then I wouldn't write anything for a week. It's like I got it out of my system. It was great. I just, yeah, no, I know. And I certainly never expected this reaction. And there's so much irony. It's mind-boggling. But I got sort of threatened, like right about Thanksgiving. Someone, this was the first time I knew anybody else knew about it. Someone messaged me on Facebook and said, "This is you, I know, blah, blah, blah. You need to take this down. You need to be on the right side of things." And I was just like, what? And he was very verbally abusive. And I was bullied all throughout school. So if somebody bullies me, I'm just going to dig my heels in harder. And so I'm like, nope, nope, nope. And then I kind of made the decision, you know what? If people are getting angry over that's not the point of it. If I take it down now, they're going to know it's me. I'm going to wait and just take it down on Christmas. And I figured that way it would be kind of like my gift. Here, it's gone. Nobody has to worry about it anymore. But literally 7 days before was when I got fired. And then I was like, not going to take it down now.
And now it's become quite popular.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's funny because the day that I got fired, I'm like, well, if it's upsetting people that much, I'll just take it down. And then someone told me, no, don't do that. So I made it private, and I got over a dozen requests the next day for password access to the blog. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm not going to deal with this. So I just made it public again. And, then I started getting messages, hey, when's the next chapter? And I'm like, I was doing this for me. And when I was doing it for me and it was helpful, it was fun and I enjoyed it. But now that people are expecting things, it's like that just took the fun out of it for me. That's not why I was doing it. So it's like, oh boy.
Okay, over on AllisonMorrow.locals.com, where you can be on the editorial board for $5 a month. I think it's a good value because you get to ask the questions that you've always wanted to ask some of the most censored people, maybe some people you've never even heard of before. AllisonMorrow.locals.com with some questions for Kat. Also, you can send me real mail. P.O. Box 3355, Denellen, Florida 34432. Love getting the letters, notes of encouragement. Some people send financial tips for the show. Some people send stuffed animals, puzzles for the kids. Love it all. Just nothing creepy because my kids do open the mail, and nothing edible like cookies. Love the thought. But besides the fact that I cut sugar like a year ago, I also will assume you're put anthrax or something in it. You're trying to kill me. So don't send me anything like that. P.O. Box 3355, Denellen, Florida 34432. Okay, let's go back over to the locals for the questions. Is Washington an at-will state like Texas? Grumpy Old Man asks. That is, does she have a case to sue her former employer for firing her over this? And Washington is an at-will state. That said, I remember going through this with my particular situation when I got fired from the Washington State Department of Natural Resources, about which I have filed a federal lawsuit for free speech rights. They argued to me that they could get rid of me for whatever they wanted because it's an at-will state. I remember having a conversation with HR, and I also remember then saying in response that that doesn't mean you can break the law. At-will doesn't mean you could just break the Constitution of the United States of America. But I'm not quite sure exactly what it does mean. So anyway, Kat, would you like to answer that question?
I have looked into it, and since my former employer is not a government agency, there's no, infringement on my First Amendment rights. They don't have to abide by that. But there is some question as to whether or not it was wrongful termination, and I have been seeking legal advice on that.
All right. I want you to tell me, give me a scenario that Mayor McKnuttsak, like a brief scenario that Mayor McKnuttsak goes through in one of the chapters that would make it somewhat ridiculous to be upset at you for writing this funny story.
Well, there is one scene where the mayor is incredible. Oh boy. There's one scene where the mayor's going around and urinating on buildings that he does not own to mark his territory and intimidate those building owners.
Okay. Now, was this something that someone said directly, hey, that's offensive? Now that okay, did anyone in the process of saying how offensive this is point out something that was offensive? I mean, what did they say was offensive or divisive exactly? Did they point to any specific examples?
Nope. Larry Fetter said during the city council meeting that he had some quotes from the blog he was going to read, but he thought better of it. So he did not. And that's another irony to me. Like, no one came to me, like the mayor. Hi, Greg. The mayor did not come to me and say, hey, this is offensive. It's upsetting my family. Would you consider taking it down? If he had come to me and asked me that, I absolutely would have done that because that was not the intention at all. I never thought anybody would see it other than my close circle. So I don't know how that happened. I'm not mad that it happened. I think it was an innocent thing. Like they were like, this is really funny. Hey, so-and-so will appreciate it. And they didn't realize so-and-so would then tell everyone. I don't know. But I'm assuming that's the scenario. I don't think any of my friends would have done it maliciously.
Go get your Allison Wine promo. It's a free speech wine club. You are supporting free speech because, well, if you drink a little bit of wine, you'll speak more freely. And then also because you support my work where I bring on people who have faced, one or another type of scenario when it comes to speech, and we can hash out these issues and you get to ask your questions, all that good stuff. You'll get 6 bottles of wine from very remote vineyards. Some are over 200 years old. Some are grown between 6 and 9,000 feet in altitude. Some are small family vineyards, been around for like 5 generations, where they're still making wine the same way that their great great grandparents did. Natural fermentation, no filtration. It's all very clean. It's like the stuff that I like to eat and drink. So go get your AllisonWinePromo.com. Hi, Jack. Okay, so my son just came in. So yeah, Grumpy Old Man is also asking, like, how did it get out of your inner circle? And then also just following that up with DMSR, this is why Mark Twain used the pin name. But technocracy via the WEF wants no anonymity online. But so that's there. So should you have used a pen name? Would it have mattered? And then what about how did it get out? Like, how did the secret get out?
I don't know how the secret got out. It obviously somebody shared it with somebody else. Like, there's a lot of tension in town, and there has been since like late August. So I think people just said, hey, so-and-so will appreciate this. And then that person shared it with someone they thought would appreciate it, and so on and so on. And my name is, in answer to that question, my name is nowhere on that blog. It's not on there at all. I had no idea people were subscribing to the blog. I wasn't getting email notifications for some reason. So I guess when I posted a new chapter, it sent out with my WordPress name and said KS Brooks posted a new story, and that's how they figured it out.
Oh,
But I had no idea people were even getting notified.
Oh.
Because I wasn't getting the emails. So that was all they needed. And then I was the villain.
How there was a question about, like, how does an employee know the rules if there's no employee handbook or no onboarding process, or they tell you what what you're allowed to do in your free time, basically? Like I said, I mean, you would think like in any other profession, well, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's not true. You would be able to post like something funny on social media, but I'm guessing actually in today's world, a lot of people in private companies have gotten fired for posting stuff on social media. So, like I said, in my case, in the news business, though, I've had attorneys tell me that even in the news business, the contracts we signed were probably unenforceable, that you could have taken them to court for that. But I had no idea that, like, I should be able to go out and just say whatever I wanted to as a reporter in television. But as a government employee, I felt like, yeah, I mean, I could talk to who I wanted to in social media, online and stuff, because my speech was, protected. And I also didn't have this contract. I mean, it was very clear, I guess, what I got myself into in TV versus what I got myself into in the government. So yeah, so how does somebody like what you're supposed to do with that? If they don't tell you?
Yeah. Well, I'm not trained as a journalist. I am a writer and photographer, and I just happened to end up working in the newspaper because they needed somebody. And it's a very difficult area to find, I guess, that combination of talents. So I literally had no training. I had no contract, no employee agreement, no nothing. So I have no idea. And I would have thought that I should be able to write. And I mean, satire is like my therapy of choice. I've been doing like parody music videos since like the pandemic back in 2020. And I even formed a nonprofit to help give people in rural and underserved areas experience in film, so that when big, productions come to the area, and these people will have the experience and can get hired and have a career in film. And the number one thing we do is parodies. because they're fun. So
okay, if people want to continue reading Mayor McKnuttsak's adventures, you can go to mayormcknuttsak.wordpress.com. All right. And is there anywhere else they could support you, Kat?
my books are on Amazon. Checking my books out. There's a lot of ebooks that are 99 cents. There's children's books. I have
just search for KS Brooks.
Yeah, KS Brooks and Mr. Pish, PISH. There, I've got like 30. It's got like 60 some odd books because there's 2 versions of each book, so it's like 30 something books.
Okay.
But yeah,